Hi, everybody. I'm Walt Clyde Frazier. Don't go anywhere. Profiles will be coming right up.
Welcome to Profiles. I'm Marley Hall. Today's guest is former NBA great Walt Clyde Frazier. Back in the 70s, Frazier guided the New York Knicks to their only 2 world championships with a style and flair wholly his own. For millions of basketball fans, Frazier defined the word cool, and he remains as one of the greatest point guards in NBA history. After a short break, we'll join our host Mickey Burns as he welcomes Walt Clyde Frazier to Profiles. Welcome back to Profiles. Walt Clyde Frazier has been honored as one of the 50 greatest NBA players of all times. He led the Knicks to 2 world championships in 1970 and 73 and saw his jersey retired by the franchise in 1979. These days, he serves as the New York Knicks color analyst on MSG Network and is currently reveling in the success of the 2nd edition release of his book, Rockin Steady, A Guide to Basketball and Cool. So let's join our host, Mickey Burns, on location from the Hotel Wales on the Upper East Side of Manhattan as he welcomes basketball great Walt Frazier to Profiles.
Walt Clyde Frazier, welcome to our show Profiles.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's an honor meeting you today.
It's a pleasure being here. I'm delighted you guys want to discuss my book.
Absolutely, and you look sharp as always.
Thanks.
Okay, and of course for our viewers, you're a former NBA great with the New York Knickerbockers mostly.
Greatest Knick ever.
Yeah, and you're also the current color analyst for most Knick games on MSG.
Right.
And you continue to do that. And you've had a phenomenal career in both, as a broadcaster and as a player. And you discuss it all in your latest book, which is called Rockin Steady. Great book. I just realized that the first release was 1974. So what this is the 2nd edition release with updates. Is that basically it?
That's it. It was so iconic during its time. And the people at Triumph Book, especially the editor there, was so enthralled with it, he thought he should bring it back. And I'm really delighted to be working with it again. Brought back a lot of memories for me because at the time I was 29 years old. So I'm amazed at my discipline and my philosophies on life, which haven't changed that much.
And how old are you today?
65.
And you look great.
Thank you.
You look great. Well, this is the 2nd edition, as you said. The first was 1974. And you wrote the book with New York Times columnist Ira Berkow.
Berkow, right.
Correct, right? Who was introduced, I read, to President Obama recently at a basketball game, and the president told Ira that he bought your book when he was 12 years old.
Yeah, he told me that. I was really surprised. I know the president's really into basketball, but...
That's pretty cool, isn't it?
It is. You never know the impact that you have on people, especially then they were kids.
Yes.
Trying to be a very positive role model in their lives, and I think the book was indicative of that.
Now, you grew up, I read, in Atlanta, with 9 siblings.
Yeah, I'm the oldest of 9. I have 7 sisters and 1 brother.
And how would you define your childhood growing up in Atlanta?
Splendid.
Really?
Yeah, very exciting, educational, learning to give. I think it really prepared me for what I'm doing now in life.
Really?
Because I was a role model before I knew what the word meant. I had to take my sisters to school. I had to bring them back. My mother and father weren't around. I was in charge. So I learned to give and take. And of course, when you have 9 siblings, teamwork is essential. Communication.
Trying to get into that bathroom is not easy.
Yeah, I was always late for school. Forget about that. On the telephone. I'm very domesticated.
I'm sure.
I can iron, sew, cook. I can birth babies. I can change diapers.
Right.
Those are my chores growing up. So these are things that keep me neat now. I mean, I press my own suits and my shirts. So.
And I don't want to ruin your image, but I know you're also a gardener.
Yes, that's
and you
my
plant.
hobbies.
Yeah, I mean that's your hobby. And
that was later. That was a transition that I metamorphed into
that's
later.
What I read.
So
that's what I read. In the book, as a kid, you wrote that every night in the book, you said you would soap up and clean and scrub your sneakers. And when I read that, I was just wondering as a kid, why were your sneakers that important to you?
Well, my mom was always stressing cleanliness next to
what it was?
godliness. So you don't have a lot, but whatever you have, keep it clean.
And you carry it over into your dress.
Right, and then once I obviously had enough money to buy the clothes, and I still had the same philosophy of life.
Right. And also interesting to read in the book that you learned how to dribble on a dirt court, which is not easy when it rains. Is that fact?
Well, that's the tricky part. When you get soil erosion after rain, that's when you really got to get down low and manipulate on the ground, and it really helped me. The other thing was, growing up in the South, they didn't have the money to put in asphalt. So that's why we played on dirt, which was really better for us because of your legs. Right. So a lot of guys that grew up in the North have had hip replacements, knee replacements later on, whereas the dirt was very soft.
That's unbelievable. Now, you came into the NBA, and you were known basically for your style and flair on and off the court. Is it true that as a rookie you spent $10,000 out of your $25,000 salary on clothes?
Maybe $5,000 at least. What happened was I wasn't playing up to expectations.
Oh, you weren't?
So
at the beginning?
Yeah, I was frustrated. So to pacify myself, I went shopping.
A lot of women do that, Clyde.
Yeah, I said, at least I look good. I'm not playing good, but I look good.
So you went out and spent money on yourself.
It gave me self-esteem. The way I was like, well, I look good. You know, I'm not playing good right now.
I didn't know that's why you did it. Okay. Because you were by far the best dressed NBA player when you played. Who today impresses you the way they dress in the NBA? Today,
surprisingly, the guys don't really dress all the time.
I know that.
Like we were talking before the show, and you mentioned Smokey Robinson.
Yes.
He was one of my idols, the Temptation, the Four Tops. When these guys performed, they always had on a shirt and tie.
Immaculate.
And the band. So that's how we used to dress to emulate those guys. Today, players emulate the rappers. Who are dressed casually, baggy pants, and so that's more their style. But there's nothing like a tall man in a suit.
Right. How do you feel about the epidemic of tattoos in the NBA?
It's appalling.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's gone too far. When the guy doesn't have any more room on his arm or his shoulder, and now they started up their neck. What it is stigmatizing them for life. What happens when tattoos go out of style? You can't get those things off. So.
And today, what are you still sharp? What drives your fashion sense today?
Oh, I'm more, I think, creative today than I was as a player. I think I have better style, especially, I'm enthralled with colors. I like unusual colors that I try to match. So people often ask me, what is your closet like? I said, my closet is a room. But I have 3 clothes racks around the room. So sometimes when I have spare time, I just go and see what combinations I can put together for later that I might wear.
Wow. Now, in the book, this is what you said about your tailor. You said, when I go to my tailor, I tell him, give me something nobody else will wear.
That's what I tell him.
He must love you.
So that means the wildest thing that you could find, bring it out. That's probably what I'm looking for.
And he does. In 2005, the NBA introduced a stricter dress code. Do you think that was a good thing?
It was long overdue.
Long overdue. It was really getting out of hand, wasn't it?
It was out of hand. And for me, if you're a professional, you should look professional, act professional. And today I travel with these guys. You live in a 4-star, 5-star hotel, private planes, limos. Come on, man. You got to look the part as well, dress the part. It's only for 2 hours.
Right.
This is all they're asking them during the time that you're working to look professional, and I think that's fair.
Right. And you set a good example for them. How do they treat you when they're wearing whatever and you come on with your custom-made stuff?
I catch them checking me out, but the young players all credit me with bringing the bling into the NBA.
And you did.
I was very blessed to be in the world's greatest city.
Yeah, you were.
Winning.
Right.
Having a winning tradition and having a salary to afford something like that.
Sure, and of course, if we go back and backtrack during that time you're speaking of, it was basically you and Joe Namath. You
Right.
guys were ruling the city as the two most eligible bachelors or playboys. Did you ever feel any competition from Joe?
I was just happy to be mentioned in the same breath with Joe.
And of course, today, do you ever see Joe? Have you ran into Joe?
Well, he's a Florida guy. But check this out. The last time I saw Joe, it was so hilarious.
Yeah.
We were in Florida doing an appearance, and here we were, two playboys of the 70s, right? And what were we talking about? Our kids.
Well, that's how times
And our
change.
health, you know, that's the
Yeah,
thing now. As
he's
you
really
age.
settled down. He's
Right,
got it
right.
really quiet.